All right, the May 1st, 2025 Executive Committee meeting is called to order. Morning, I am Executive Committee Chair Dave Summers, and I want to welcome everyone attending the meeting both in person and via Zoom. And for board members joining via Zoom, please turn on your camera and state your name prior to making any comments or asking any questions to the public. Your fellow committee members know who's speaking. Katie, could you call the roll?
Nancy Backus. Claudia Balducci. Board Member Balducci is present. Cassie Franklin. Bruce Harrell. Ryan Mello.
Here.
Board Member Mello is present. Julie Meredith.
Here.
Board Member Meredith is present. Christina Walker.
Here.
Board Member Walker is present, and Chair Summers.
Here.
And Chair Summers, there is a quorum of the Executive Committee at this time.
Great, thank you, Katie. All right. No report from the chair today, really. So turn it over is the CEO and attendance.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to just briefly share my gratitude to the board and the public and Sound Transit staff for the trust that has been placed in me to lead our staff and this agency. I'm shared in our first all-staff meeting this past Tuesday that this is really the culmination of a lot of years, a career spent dedicated to making Puget Sound a great place to live, this place that raised me. So I'm tremendously grateful for the opportunity to continue that service. And at that same meeting, I was able to share my commitment to elevating and celebrating our staff's work and to thank Jerron Sparman for his tremendous service here over the last nearly year and a half as our interim CEO. Jerron will presently be sailing off into retirement, but we expect once he gets that out of his system to see more of him back here in town. Turning to immediate matters, we are quickly approaching the opening of our Redmond link. So that is an extension that includes two stations, a Marymoor Village station and the downtown Redmond station. And on May 10th, we hope that you all and our public will be able to join us for a celebration. It will be at the downtown Redmond station at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. Consistent with our approach to all of our openings, this is going to be a community-centered event. We've partnered with more than 100 local organizations, restaurants, and other businesses to launch what will be the first extension from the 2016 Sound Transit 3 vote. So this is in many ways the culmination of years of work and in many ways the first step on a journey to create that truly regional system that the people have endorsed. And it's going to be an exciting moment for the agency and for our community. So please join us there. We're looking forward to celebrating with all of you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you, Dal. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. The Executive Committee welcomes public comment as an important part of the public process, and comments are received and considered by the committee in its deliberations. Katie, what kind of comments are received or signed up?
Yes, we have written public comments, and then we also have one person signed up for virtual public comment.
Okay, the board members have received written comments submitted before the meeting. And Katie, could you read the names and summaries of those comments?
The committee received comments from Morgan Hasrath, submitting a form letter urging the board to cease the planning for a new Ballard to downtown environmental impact statement, from Marilyn Kennel and Jan Roberts, providing amendments to the CEO performance goals through motion number M2025-22 to include a West Seattle Town Hall, commit to environmental preservation, invest in sustainable transit solutions, and accountability in delivering cost-effective transit options. And from Joe Kunzler, sharing previously mentioned edits to the CEO performance goals to clarify the CEO's role and inclusion within the board's operations for the CEO to take ownership for workplace climate.
Great, thank you. So following the meeting, the comments will be provided and posted on the Sound Transit website so the public may view them. And for a verbal comment, I understand we have one person signed up for virtual comment. Is that correct? And nobody in person?
That is correct.
Okay, so before we take verbal public comment, I want to review our ground rules for both in-person and virtual public comment. Each commenter will have 2 minutes. Speakers should comment on the action they identified on the sign-up sheet and stay within the allotted time. All comments must be germane to the agenda items or items within the committee's purview. The speaker should not make introductory statements, derogatory remarks, profanity, or personal attacks not germane to an agenda item, statements related to a political campaign, or statements for or against a candidate or ballot measure. Speakers should also not engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of this meeting, including conduct that is not germane to the committee's work or agenda. It's the only warning speakers will get, and if rules are not followed, I'll ask for the microphone to be turned off. I appreciate your adherence. So we'll move on to virtual public comment via Zoom. When your name's called, please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Zoom. If you're joining the meeting via telephone, then the raise your hand function is accessed by entering *9 so you can be identified. Katie?
The one person signed up for virtual public comment is Joe Kunzler. Please accept the notice to unmute your microphone. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Katie. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, thank you. It's Joe Kunzler here. Really appreciate the chance to testify to you today as I walk from the Community Transit 201 to the Link Light Rail at Wynwood Station. As always, Go Sound Transit. But I just really think there were some things in that initial resolution that you guys at Sound Transit need to adjust. The first thing is obviously ownership of boat operations. I think it's important that it's in the CEO expectations that you have that kind of a backup. We all know that there are a few people, including myself, who like to push the envelope on public comment sometimes, and needs to be an understanding that could be a problem. I've only got about a minute 12 left. And another thing that I want added is also workplace relations, because without saying anything negative about anyone, a former CEO was alleged to have created a difficult workplace climate. And then, of course, there's Alex Zimmerman and his outbursts. So I think it's important to add that, if we can, please. Another thing I would add is, and this is that Sound Transit is supposed to be a leader of all of our transits in the state, if not the world. And I'm getting a little excited here, but with our new CEO and Redmond Link coming up, but I really think Sound Transit should have a leadership role, teaching other agencies to be as awesome as Sound Transit, and that should be part of it. With 21 seconds left to go, and I'm going up the escalator to get on Link, I just want to say in closing, I'm excited for Redmond Link. I hope I get to cut one of the ribbons as one of the biggest supporters of this agency. And as always, but especially today, go Sound Transit. Let's go save the planet. All right.
Thank you. All right. Close public comment. Move on to our business items. We have 2 today, one for final approval and one for recommendation to the board. So the action for final, or the item for final action, is minutes from April 3rd, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the set of meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. So next is motion M 2025-22. And as required per the employment agreement with our new CEO, the board chair and vice chairs were directed to establish performance goals and objectives for 2025. And today we'll discuss the proposed objectives and goals, as well as consider an action to forward them to the full board. So Katie, you want to read the action in the record?
The action is motion number M 2025-22, a motion of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority adopting performance goals and objectives for Dow Constantine, Sound Transit Chief Executive Officer.
So I would request a motion for the M 2025 to the board with a do pass recommendation. If I can get it on the floor, then we can have discussion about it.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. So before we begin discussion, I want to remind the committee that these goals will be used to measure performance at the end of the year as required by the CEO's employment agreement. And some of the draft goals are large undertakings, and it wouldn't be reasonable to expect full accomplishment by the December of this year. So for the goals that do not align neatly with the end of year measures, we will focus on measuring progress towards completion, and I can have further discussions of that as we move forward. But I don't think we have a presentation. Is that right, Katie? I think the draft is in your meeting materials. We did consult the vice chairs and on this draft and tried to incorporate the comments that we received, but is there a discussion on this?
Chair, this is
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, Member Walker.
I just have, thank you for this, and thank you to those who have spent a lot of time on it. As I have not, I probably should have asked a few more questions ahead of the meeting, but I just have a couple clarifying questions. The internal, there's a lot of great and important external work here and work with the board. The internal piece and working with the staff, is that reflected just in 3A, the champion cultural transformation? Is that the only place I see that?
I believe so, and I'm going to have to hold on a second.
And then I'm wondering, I don't know if this is a staff question, if I can just get like a brief explanation of internal net promoter score, because I'm just not familiar with that. It sounds good. 10% sounds good, but I just don't know enough about it to understand that.
Dow, do you have any comments on?
The Chief of Staff, Kelly Knight, had a question.
Oh, Chair Summers, I just wanted to let you know, since you're virtual, that Julie Honeywell, our Chief Culture and People Officer, is on the dais to respond to that question.
Oh, great. Thank you. Julie?
Hi, welcome. The Net Promoter Score is a measure of engagement and organizational health by which employees rate whether they would promote Sound Transit as a place to work or not. So it's a formula that has attractors, promoters, and people who are neutral. So we are working to increase that score by at least 10 points and hopefully more.
And how long have we been doing that? Have we seen a 10-point jump in this amount of time before? Is this going to be a huge heavy lift? Is it sort of in the middle?
I would say it's probably in the middle. So I think that, as you know, the agency has gone through a lot of change. And so our employee base is, moving to stabilize ourselves and get to, be excited to work here. And many of our employees are excited and very mission driven. But we have some internal reforms that we're working on to kind of help move that along.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's really helpful. And I do think that that's really important. And I don't want to look like just because there's only one point on the internal piece that's any less important than all these other things. So, and I think our CEO knows that, but I just want to voice that out loud. And then, Julie, this is probably also a question for you. 3D, hire a chief civil rights and economic development officer. Is that one position or is that two different?
That's one position.
Okay. And right now, do we have anyone in either roles?
So we do have somebody acting and we are at the very end stages of that recruitment.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. That's all my questions. Looking forward to passing this. I actually, maybe I have one more comment just to thank folks, because I saw an early draft of this. This feels very much more succinct, and I like that it doesn't go into so much detail that it locks us into certain activities, but it gives us a broad base to track progress over time. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know people did work very hard on it. CEO Constantine.
I think Board Member Mello had his hand up, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Mello.
Thank you.
Or Mello, excuse me.
It's all
I'm having
good.
trouble today. It's Thursday. I don't know.
It's been a long weekend.
It has.
Thank you, Chair Summers, and thank you to the chair and his staff team, especially for helping us coordinate the drafts to date and spearheading this conversation in coordination with our new Chief Executive Officer. I think it's been a really good process and more to come to continue to get more board input, but it's been a very collaborative and thoughtful process. I like the mixture of qualitative and quantitative measures. And we're asking the CEO, in my estimation, to be focused on the right things during his early time in this performance period. So I'm feeling good about this stage of the work and adding gratitude to the many hours of dialogue and iteration that it's taking to get a good draft in front of the full board. I just wanted to note two things. I was reviewing the system performance tracker, the indicators Sound Transit has on our public-facing website for what I would call our dashboard of performance measures. We call it the System Performance Tracker. It's a great way to be transparent about measures that we care about, that we know the community cares about, around cleanliness and safety and ridership and reliability. I would just ask, Chair, that especially after we get adoption by the full board, that we ask the CEO's office to make sure that there's alignment where possible, especially for the quantitative measures, that we update the system performance tracker with the CEO goals so that there's alignment with this public-facing dashboard as appropriate. And then the other thing I would just note is, while we all get to talk to the CEO and work with the CEO with a lot of regularity, he's very accessible. From a public transparency perspective, I just think that there's value in communicating clearly to the public about, the expectations that we're going to have in reporting back, whether that be, we say to ourselves and we say to the public, because they don't get to see our daily interactions with the CEO, that, we're going to check in as a full board every 6 months on, I'm making this up, right? We're going to check in every 6 months on performance, to check in, not waiting till something's getting derailed, staying in alignment as a full board, despite all of us having regular interaction. That the expectation is the CEO will do a written self-evaluation at the end of the performance period, maybe at the midpoint check-ins. Just again, in the spirit of we know this, and Chair, we have full confidence in your ability to lead us. But just from a public transparency perspective, I think some of those process steps, enumerating them in writing would be helpful, and to set expectations for the CEO so there's no surprises.
Mhm.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Excellent.
Chair Summers,
Yes.
Spalducci.
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to echo the positive feedback about the process and how we got to this pithy but very meaningful set of performance goals. It's easy to read, easy to follow, but yet sets a high level of performance expectation. I do want to point out one thing that I've been struggling to try to get fixed in the document, and we're not 100% there yet. Item 1 continues to conflate the idea of a long-range plan with delivery of ST3 capital program and the financial framework to assist in capital delivery decisions. There's a ST3 plan, there's a strategic plan, and there's a long-range plan. These are 3 different things, and we're conflating them in one paragraph. And I just want to I think this is a technical correction only, not a substantive thing, but I'd like to work with staff to see if we can perhaps pull apart the chocolate and the peanut butter a little bit before we make a final vote on it, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's totally okay. And it is confusing sometimes, and I'm not clear on the differentiation myself. So I'm happy to work on it with you.
Thank you. We'll make a proposal to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Bernie.
Thank you. Thank you again for inviting me to this so I can have a little bit of a say. I appreciate seeing this. I don't think I saw the previous versions of it, but I appreciate the limited verbiage on these things. I also agree with Board Member Mello about tying this to some of the other outcomes that we're looking at, so show that how everything fits together. I will also, I'm grateful that Board Member Balducci went before me, because in reading the number 1, it does feel like in compression, it makes it it feels like a little less clear than maybe it could be. I would say that one of the areas that feels a little weak in this is around improving operations. I know it's mentioned in there, but there's some opportunity there to focus on that a little more, as we've been talking about some of the challenges we have on keeping our system running smoothly. So I don't know if there's space for that, or if that was a previous discussion, but I just want to ensure that we are very clear on not just capital delivery, not just safety, but also the operations in general. If there's a way to massage that a little better, to be a little more direct, I think that would be helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, I think number 4 was intended to do that, so we can take a look at that, and any suggestions you have for making that clearer be welcome. Board Member Roscoe.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to get clarification on the comments that Vice Chair Mello made around a 6-month self-evaluation. Could you just elaborate on that? I think what you're saying is it's not called out, but it's expected to happen, or am I misunderstanding?
Member Mello.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for asking for clarification, Board Member Roscoe. I think I was just offering, again, in the spirit of being transparent to the community, that we should state, maybe in the final resolution or somehow, that we will be doing a 6-month check-in, not waiting for a full year assessment of these performance goals, that we're going to do more regular check-in as a body, as a board with the CEO about progress towards meeting the performance goals that we've set. And again, just being transparent with the public that we're going to have that expectation, and readying the CEO if that's what we decide. I offered a 6-month as a starting point for the conversation.
I think our intent was to do that review at the end of this year, 2025. So that's 7 months. And then again, at the end of next calendar year, which is 2026. So would that meet your?
It would. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I think it's bad practice to just as a full board meet on performance. I think more frequent conversation around performance is a much healthier structure.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Vice Chair. And I agree with that. I think that I'll support what the board decides. I do think that we should call it out here for accountability on the board's part. And I would just ask that the chair and vice chairs look at our calendar, in that if we're pushing something to December that could happen in November, and we're creating too many things on our agendas in December, that we go ahead and do it in November, and maybe we just set the month that we're actually going to do it, so that agendas and expectations are built around that. And I fully support a soon timeline, especially considering the contract periods for the CEO contract. Thank you.
I'm reminded by my chair notes that the CEO's employment agreement calls out the goals will be used to measure performance at the end of the year, and so it's written into the CEO's employment agreement already. But we can be explicit about the timeline when we bring this up to the full board for discussion.
Chair, this is Walker again.
Yes, go ahead.
Just wanted to circle back on this conversation. I understand that a formal review and check-in is yearly as per the contract. That feels like too long to not check in with our CEO and see how things are going. So if there's a casual point we could put every 6 months, I think it would be really helpful, so that if there are issues that we catch them before we get to the formal review.
Okay, I think I would propose we bring these forward when we come to the full board discussion about these and decide on a schedule. I know staff is listening in. We can figure out how to propose something, some language. Dow, you I think earlier said you have some questions.
No, thank you for calling me. I think this is a good discussion, and it's been a good process of board members contributing ideas to this document. All of this is, really substantial and daunting, and also no less than I would expect of myself. So I'm glad to have it worked and completed and adopted, and looking forward to being able to report back on the progress we're making on each of these points as the year unfolds. Thank you.
All right, is there further discussion? We do have a motion. Second. So just before we close this or vote, we will come back to, assuming this motion to forward to the full board with a due pass recommendation successful, we will come back at the board meeting and we'll carry these items that you've raised forward with some response and further discussion. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of motion 2025-22 with a recommendation to the board with a due pass recommendation, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so that forward, thank you. Good discussion. So we're going to move on to a little bit of discussion on board retreat, as we've been talking it over our past several months and numerous meetings. I've spoken with the CEO about setting up some board retreats, and they are reflected in the item 5 of the performance goals we just discussed, which is really creating a board development process by Q4 2025. We do have a tentative date for a first retreat, so it really does feel like the right time to get the board back together. Similar to our 2024 retreat, one of our objectives is to continue to build the trust and rapport required for regional problem solving. So we'll spend some time as a board here discussing where we've come from as an agency, where we currently are, and more importantly, start the process of getting our arms around the challenges and opportunities our agency faces going forward. We undoubtedly facing headwinds, and I want this to use this retreat and future retreats to really center what we as a board can do to keep the program moving forward. And I would love to have a brief discussion here with your ideas for retreat goals with me and the staff as we're planning for this time together. I know, Katie, you want to talk to us about what we've set up so far in terms of logistical details, and we can have some discussion.
Yeah, as we have confirmed the Baden-Bauer Center in Bellevue, Washington is the location for the retreat. The retreat will be held as an in-person meeting, looking at a start time of around 10:30 a.m. and an end time of around 2:30 p.m. We have confirmation from 13 board members that they'll be able to attend for all of or a majority of the retreat. We'll also work on providing carpool and transportation options in addition to the transit options that are available. And board members should have received a calendar hold for the retreat, and we'll also be adding information for the public about the retreat on the Sound Transit website.
Great, thank you. So open up for discussion and ideas, thoughts about how you'd like the retreats to go and topics to cover, and any thoughts any of you have. Board Member
Just on
Mello.
logistics.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Super short logistics question, comment actually. If anybody wants to meet up beforehand at the South Bellevue Park and Ride, there's ample parking for free, and we can all take the light rail in together.
Thank you. Board Member Mello.
I just wanted to share that, yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with you, Chair Summers, about your thinking. I think you're right on about how to spend our time. 4 hours is going to go quickly.
Yeah.
So I just continue to encourage us to spend our time wrapping our collective arms around the scale of the challenges that are in front of us, grounding us in the common knowledge about what those challenges are, what's causing them, and beginning to identify what our values and priorities are to make difficult decisions as a board going forward. To the extent we can walk onto there with some common values and principles around how we set priorities to give direction to the CEO and the team, I think that'd be a great use of 4 hours. Thank you.
Comments? I know you guys have thoughts. Come on. All right. No, I can't see in the boardroom if anybody's. No comments? No more? All right. I'll work with the CEO and all of you to get our time organized and planned and most effectively spent. Yeah, 4 hours seems like a very short period of time. I remember the retreat we had in Everett a number of years ago. We had I think, didn't we go 2 days? I think it was, yeah, it might have been 1, but there's a lot to cover, and I personally see that we're going to likely need several of these for different topical areas because there's a lot on our plates and a lot coming up. But anyway, any further comments? Okay. We have no reports to the committee. There is no need for an executive session. Is there any other business to come before the committee today? Okay, our next executive committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, June 5th at 10:30 a.m. and the meeting will take place in the Ruth Fisher Boardroom and virtually via Zoom. The link to join the meeting virtually will be provided on the Sound Transit website as well as on the meeting agenda. So with that, we are adjourned.